Hi guys, hope you're doing well. My name is Emma and today I'm going to show you how I made this top, which is the twist loop top by Other Loops. So this is one that I had saved thinking that it would be good as more of like a work top, like something styled like under a blazer, or could possibly be worn like alone with some like long tailored pants type of thing. Now I've just started applying for jobs at the moment, so I thought why not cast on like a job search piece and hope that it motivates me like applying for jobs, because then I'll have a top to wear in the office, and then vice versa, applying for jobs motivates me to continue working on this piece so that if I do get a job, I have something to wear in the office, because it's been a little while, and to be honest, I got rid of so many clothes that I just haven't worn. So that's kind of why I decided to cast on this particular piece. I've also been working on a lot of like DK weights because we're going into like the winter season when I'm filming this. So I've got a few different sweaters on my needles at the moment. Everything's kind of DK weight or above in terms of what I'm knitting, and this is going to be a fingering weight piece, so it's going to be nice to have something else to kind of throw in the mix in terms of like things that I'm working on at the moment. So a few details about the pattern. It is, like I just said, a fingering weight pattern. It is knit on 3mm needles, all the kind of finishing details in it on 2.5mm needles. It comes in sizes extra small to 2XL, and it's meant to have ease of around 17 to 15 centimeters of negative ease, so it's meant to be quite a fitted top, which I look at the sample photo, it doesn't look like it's got that much negative ease, if any at all, so that kind of confuses me a little bit. It's usually the case with patterns. I'm going to make mine in a size large, which is actually one size up from what's recommended for my bust measurements, and that should give me about 3 centimeters of negative ease. Again, I really like the look of that sample photo, so I want to try get that kind of more loose, relaxed fit from it, so that's what I'm going to go with. In terms of construction, it is knit top down. It's in a 3x2 rib with like that cable detail that runs down the center of the front piece. Because it is a singlet style, it is knit majority flat, like the yoke section I should say is knit flat. So you start by knitting, like, or doing a provisional cast on for your shoulder. You knit 2 separate little front shoulder pieces, cast on some additional stitches in the front to bring those 2 pieces together. And then you start just working that down in the rib with the cable detail in the front. You do the same kind of for the back section as well. So you pick up from your provisional cast on, knit 2 little small shoulder pieces for the back. That I think they're a little bit shorter on the back than the front to get the right kind of fit. And then you do the same with, you just bring them together for the neckline and continue to knit down. As you knit down on the front and back pieces, there are some increases that are worked around the sides to shape around the armholes. Once you get to the right depth, you cast on a few more additional stitches on the underarms, and then you're just knitting the entire body down in the round, following with that 3x2 rib and that cable detail that runs down the center, and you basically just keep knitting down until you reach desired length, and then bind off with whichever bind off you like. Then for the finishing details, you've got to pick up all of the stitches in your armholes, and you work I-cord edging for the armholes. And then for the neck band, it's meant to be a 1x1 folded collar rib. Folded collar in a 1x1 rib is what I was saying there for the finishing details. So for my piece, I'm going to be using some of the drop down that I picked up recently. So I've got Drops Flora yarn, which is fingering weight, 65% wool, 35% alpaca. And I've got mine in the color number 31 sand. I picked this up for $3.92 per 50-gram ball, so it's going to be a pretty affordable knit. And in terms of like needles, I'm using exactly the same as what's called for in the pattern. I've done a little gauge swatch and they seem to be pretty much on gauge, which is great. And for this project, we're also going to need a cable needle as well for the cabling sections. In terms of modifications that I'm going to make to my piece, it's really, I'm just sizing up one and sizing, as I mentioned, just to give them like less negative ease to my piece. Based on other people's Ravelry notes, I'm also going to add on cast on, I should say, an extra 5 stitches on the shoulder seams, and that's meant to make the shoulders just a little bit wider and more like bra friendly. I typically wear like sports crops that kind of crisscross over the back, so having visible bra strips isn't necessarily like a major concern of mine, but it might be like quite thin and tucked in. Like I look at some people's pictures and it seems like it tucks in quite a lot in the front. So I'm just going to cast on 5 extra stitches. To adjust, I'm going to remove stitches from my neckline because my size that I should be making is a medium. The stitch count for the medium is like 10 stitches less than the size large for the cast-ons in the front and back for your neckline. So that was like a really easy like place where I thought I could eliminate them. A lot of people do eliminate their stitches from like the underarm increases, but I think I'm just going to follow the underarms because I know people who have modified the underarms, they seem to be sitting like really high up in the armpit, and I don't really want that. But I know some people have also complained that the depth is a little bit too big on armholes too. So I'm thinking on me it's probably going to be fine, so I don't want to adjust the armholes in any way. So that's why I'm going to eliminate my stitches from the neckline, and that means that this whole like front piece from like here down is going to be knit according to the size large, and the only difference is the neckline will be cast on as a medium. Hopefully that makes sense. The other modification I'm going to make that again a lot of people have done and left notes about is swapping out the folded ribbed collar for a double knit neckband. So I'm going to do that as well. I think it just looks a little bit more polished and it kind of suits the piece a little bit more. I don't know. This is what I don't like about like knits, like summer knits, is when there's like a ribbed or like a folded details on the ends. I just feel like it makes it look so much more like winter style, and that's not what I'm wanting for this one. I want something that's practical to wear both like as like a summer knit but also like a winter knit. But yeah, I'm looking for more polished because I want this as a work top. In terms of the pattern, so first impressions on the pattern, it seems super easy to read. There's not too many instructions. There's a chart for the cable bit that runs down the middle, which is super duper basic. It's a little description on how to do the cable and everything like that. You also only do 3 like repeats of the chart, so it's like you're not even doing that much like cable work throughout this entire piece either. So if you're kind of on cables, like this is going to be an easy one. There's not too many cables. What else? Oh, it does suggest some different cast ons throughout the pattern. So for the like neckline, it says just to do like a backwards loop cast on. But for the underarm stitches, it suggests doing a provisional cast on. And I haven't done that for like when you're already working a piece. I've done like provisional cast ons at the start. But yeah, so that's going to be something I have to just kind of like figure out how to do. And to be honest, I do not know what the difference is between doing like a provisional cast on there and just picking up the stitches, since you've got to pick up all of the rest of the stitches for the underarm. So I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to follow it as per pattern since I don't know. In terms of skill level, there's nothing specified by the designer themselves, but based on other Ravelry users, they've ranked this one as being pretty easy to knit. There are quite a few techniques in this one though, so like looking at the piece and the pattern, like it seems relatively beginner friendly. Like it's not complex, but there's quite a few different techniques in it. So like you're going to do the ribbing, you're going to do the cable, so you need to be able to do like that and read the chart. Like I said, the chart's so basic, it's so easy to read, but you do have to do the I-cord pickups for the armholes and then whatever neckline you opt to do. So for example, I'm doing double knitting, you'd need to know how to do that. So there's a few different techniques in there, but they're not necessarily complicated techniques. So I don't know where to like rate this one. I wouldn't necessarily call it beginner because there's multiple techniques in it, but then I also wouldn't call it like that advanced either. So let's just go advanced beginner and we'll see what my thoughts are at the end. Now this video isn't going to be a detailed tutorial on how to make the twist loop top. I always get the like loops mixed up, so it's not going to be a tutorial on how to make it. This is just me taking you on my journey on how I went about making this particular piece. I have a feeling this one's going to be a quick one because it is a top, and as long as nothing goes wrong, there's not too much to like go through on this particular one, so it should be a quick video, I'm thinking. But if you do like these type of videos, you know, like and subscribe and do all that jazz, because I've got a bunch more project vlogs on the way. But other than that, let's get into it.
clasp one another.
Oh my word, all that finishing took such a long time, but I'm glad I did it. Okay, so here we are. So we have joined the front and back pieces in the round. I ran out of yarn at this point, or I'm ready to change to a new ball so we don't have too much fabric in the length. But I decided to pick up and do my trims first because they are like the most tedious part of this particular pattern. And I was like, now that they're out of the way, all I have to do is knit down in the round. So this is gonna like fly by and finish super quick. And I feel like there's nothing worse when you've like knitted all the body and then you have to pick up and do like the finishings last and you're like, like what a pain. So I've opted to just do them now. So it makes the rest of my work really easy. So if I'm really happy with this, how this is coming out, I think the fit is looking pretty good. The armhole depth is perfectly fine for me. I didn't do any adjustments to the arm increases. I did cast on the extra 5 stitches for the, what do you call this bit, shoulder, and I'm glad I did that. Obviously it's not covering straps at all. But if I wear, like, I'm wearing a sports bra right now, and that's you know, perfectly fine. I actually like the look and the shape of this. But as is, I don't know if I would want it any wider. I think it looks really cool how it is. So I'm glad I did add it on, because if I didn't, like, these straps would have been like really, really thin, like basically non-existent little straps. And I probably would have looked cool still, but I don't know. I think I prefer them where they're at. They probably could have been a little bit wider too. I don't know. But the neckline is super duper tight. I barely got this over my head. Like, she's really, really fitted. I don't think blocking's going to fix that. I think it's just my whole head hole is too small. Head hole, neck. What do we call it? Neckline? Too small. But I did end up eliminating stitches from my neckline to account for the stitches I picked up. I know most people end up doing like less increases in the underarm to account for that, and that not only like brings you up a little bit in terms of underarm depth, which is the reason why I didn't do it, because I didn't want to adjust the underarm depth. But yeah, so that would adjust your stitch count on your body section, like down here, whereas I basically adjusted my stitch count from like up here. So yeah, that was maybe a mistake. It could also be the double knit. It's not that stretchy, but I don't know. It gets on and it looks fine on, so I'm just hoping with blocking it might loosen up a little bit and be fine. But yeah, be mindful. I did knit this size up, so the neckband, because I sized down basically by eliminating the stitch counts, I was just making a neckband that was like one size smaller, which was my recommended size. So if I had followed the pattern recommendations, I would have had this neckline anyways, and it would have been like a little bit snug, and then my top would have been smaller as well. But I'm glad that my top is like the size that it's coming out. I think it's fitting really nicely, and when it's blocked, it's probably just going to hopefully have a little bit more. It shouldn't loosen up too much. I don't know actually how much it's going to loosen, but I'm really liking how it's looking in its current state. So yeah, all I'm going to do now is try get this off my head and pick up some new yarn, and we're just going to knit down. So I'm up to my second cable repeat at the moment. I also spaced my cable repeats out by 31 rows. I had to do 31 because of the right side, wrong side in this top part. Did I do 31 or 30? I don't know. But yeah, so I'm just going to finish this, pick up new yarn, continue to knit down, second cable, third cable should be about like here somewhere. And then I'm thinking I might do like a folded hem on this one, but I'm not sure on that yet, so we'll see what happens. Alrighty, so my third chart is now fully done. So I've knitted another 31 rows or whatever it was. That's where that blue marker is right there. So this is how we are looking. It's still pretty cropped, like it's basically right on my belly button at the moment. So we do definitely need a little bit more length to it. But in saying that, when I block it, it's also going to grow a little bit too, although I don't know how much length I'm going to get in blocking. I've got this much yarn left over, so I'm basically going to just keep knitting until I run out of this yarn. This is my third ball of yarn, so once I finish this, we would have a total of 3 balls for this one particular piece. So if I can finish there, that would be perfect. I ideally don't want to crack into another ball, and looking how much I have left here, I reckon I'll be okay. I definitely want to get a little bit more length on it, and then I really want to do a folded hem, but I'm going to need an extra, like probably 4 or 5 rows for the folding. So we'll just have to see how long we get to what type of bind off I end up going for, because I don't want to crack into another ball. But yeah, here we are. Alrighty, so here's my piece. It's all nice and long. I've used up all of my yarn now. I've just got a bit of a generous tail to do any like finishing that I wanted to do. And I basically did all that last night. I was like, I'll just fold over and do my hem, folded hem this morning, and I'll seam it down. So it should look something like that. It's just going to be like a little bit of a folded finish on my piece. And then I was like, oh, I might just check like the Ravelry notes on this and see if anyone else has done any other type of hem that looks really nice and neat and polished. And to be honest, I didn't really find anyone who's done like a folded hem situation. People have just done different versions of like stretchy bind offs. And like, I don't know if I want to do just a plain stretchy bind off on this. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick to the folded hem. But one thing I did note with people's bind offs notes is that they said they wished they sized down a needle to prevent a flare. And it dawned on me that I should have probably sized down in my needle for my hem section. And so I tried to look up some video tutorials, and like I haven't been able to find anything on like ribbed folded hem. So I don't know if it's even a common thing to do a ribbed folded hem. Like I've found plenty of tutorials around like doing like folded collars and like brims of beanies and things like that, but not on a top down like garment. Haven't found anything where it's had like a folded ribbed hem, and I am a little bit concerned it's going to be a little bit thick and bulky. But what I've noted with people who've done stock net folded hems is that they have sized down on their needles for the hem section. So I'm thinking I should probably size down in my needles as well for this hem section. So I've just basically this morning installed my lifeline because I think I might end up, wow, I can see that my lifeline's, oh no, it's looking all right. I thought it was like a stitch off. It's going to be a little bit wonky, to be honest. This is going to be, I can even see that I just totally missed a stitch there in terms of weaving in a lifeline. But anyways, I've weaved in a lifeline so I can try rip back, and then I'm going to reknit this last couple centimeters in a size down. So I think I'll go for 2.5 millimeter needles, and then I will fold and seam that down. I'm not sure if it's going to be the best approach, if I'm being honest, but I'm just going to stick to it and see what it looks like. Ideally, I need to get this blocked ASAP because I want to wear it in like 2 days' time and I need it to dry. So if this hem doesn't look good, I don't know if I'm going to end up having enough time to like change it. I might just have to like block it and deal with it. And if I don't like it, like rip back and do something afterwards and like fix it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. So let's rip back. This is a tangled mess. Okie dokie, so I've now finished redoing my hem section. I reinstalled my lifeline so that it was like even this time, then half of it fell out. So hopefully this works out and I don't need to rip back because my lifeline is only half in. But yeah, I'm just basically going to now fold this little section over and try seam it together somehow. So this is going to take ages. Alrighty, we're done. I'm not sure about this hem. It's like going all like wavy and weird. But I'm not going to weave in my end just yet. I'm going to block it first and then weave in the end last, just so I can make sure that I have the right amount of like tension on this bottom hem, because you can like kind of like pull this in and get more tension on it, or stretch it like all the way out, like how I kind of have it now. So I think I'm just going to block it first and just see how this kind of grows, because that is going to limit how it's like affect how it sits, if that makes sense. I'm not sure about this hem, to be honest. It kind of bubbles out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, let's block this. Having this lifeline, I'm going to pull this out now, but having this lifeline in was actually really useful, because I could use it as like a guide when I was folding over, and I knew kind of like which stitch I was like seaming into on the back here. So if you are doing any folded hems, it might be a good idea to have a lifeline. You can see how it looks a little bit better. So ultimately I didn't get that too much length on mine either. Yes, that's how the hem is looking. Like, yeah, I'm not so sure on this, if this was maybe the right move. I was hoping that this would lay maybe a little bit flatter. Maybe I did it too short. But we'll see what it looks like once it's blocked. So let's go block her. And here she is, my finished twist loop top. I have worn this a couple times, so just like ignore like all these creases and crinkles from where it's been tucked into my pants. I also just got makeup all over the collar here as well when I tried it on just now. So like, it is what it is. Anyways, quick summary on this piece. So it ended up taking me 76 hours to knit, and I ended up doing over a course of 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks for a top is a good time, but 76 hours is quite a lot of time. I definitely did dedicate like all of my concentration on this one piece, because I kind of wanted to get it done for like some job interviews so that I could actually wear it, and then I could be like, what's your hobbies? Oh, knitting, and I just knit this top, and everyone's like super impressed. That's actually what happened. I did wear it to an interview, and it went well, so that's good. But yeah, I ended up using 3 balls of yarn on this particular piece, and I stopped at 3 balls. So I think it was recommended that I would need 4 balls of yarn, and I do think I need to add some more length to this, because it literally just tucks into my pants. But I, for whatever reason, ordered 6 balls of this yarn when I was buying my yarn, and I'm not sure why I brought 6 balls. But because I had 6, and as I was knitting this, I was like, oh, it's getting to a pretty good length. If I can finish at 3 balls, it means I'll have exactly enough to do another like singlet style top with this yarn, so I can get like 2 things out of the one yarn order that I've made, or the mistake that I've made. So I did end up stopping at exactly 3 balls for that reason, which means yarn plus pattern, this cost me $25.85, which is great price for a knitted top in my opinion. I will probably end up remaking this. Not only do I think it needs a little bit more length to it, but it probably needs some other modifications at the top. So let me tell you first of all what I did modify on the pattern, because I did make a few changes. So a lot of the Ravelry notes, people talk through all of their mods, and I would definitely say follow the guidance. It makes a difference. So the first thing that I did was add on an extra, it's so orange on there, it's annoying. I did end up casting on an extra 5 stitches to my shoulder pieces. To accommodate the extra stitches that I added on up here, I did eliminate them from the neckline. So I ended up knitting mine to a size large, which is 1 size up from what was recommended. The medium neckline, the stitch count was already 10 stitches less than the large, so I didn't have to do like any thinking. I was like, oh, well, that should work out fine, right? Because it was my recommended size. So I was like, I'll do the neckline to the medium. That works out fine. So from this point down, the piece is knit accurately to a size large. The other thing I did was the double knit neck bands. You can see there. I love the look of that. I think it just blends in so much more nicely than like the ribbed neckband. Like it just matches like your kind of seaming that you've got around the arms, and just the look of the piece. It just looks more polished with the double knit neckband. I ended up doing, again, I just followed recommendations. So I did a 7-stitch double knit. I did size down one more of my needles. So all my finishings I did in 2.5mm needles as recommended by the pattern. But for my double knitting, I ended up doing 2.25s because I feel like the stitches look a little bit more enlarged than the rest. So now it looks like on par with all the standard knitting, which is on, what was it, 3mm needles? I think. I can't even remember now what I used. But it all looks nice and even and good. So I'm really happy with how that came out. However, I will just touch on, actually, I'll save the cons for a second. I'll save the cons. We'll get to the cons on that in a second. What else did I end up doing? I did end up doing a couple additional rows in between each of my cables. I kind of intentionally did that, kind of unintentionally did that. I wasn't really thinking it doesn't really make any difference because your rows are so tiny. In terms of like the length of mine, where I've kind of like finished off at the bottom here would have been where I started my 4th cable had I done one. So in terms of like evenness with these cables, it's worked out perfectly. So exactly 3 balls, exactly 3 cables, perfect. However, it's a little bit short. The only other thing that I did a little bit differently was I did a folded hem on the bottom of mine. So in the pattern, it says just to like bind off however you want. And like a lot of people have done all sorts of different bind offs. I didn't know what would look nicest. I do always plan to have this tucked in, but at the same time, I just wanted like something that looked a little bit more like nice and like commercial and kind of went with the top. So I don't know. I just decided to size down in my needles again to 2.5 as recommended for all the finishings. Knit a few additional rounds, and then I just folded and seamed that together on the back side. I did initially forget to size down, and I remember reading some comments of people who have done bind offs and didn't size down. They're like, oh, I wish I sized down my needles to stop flare. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, maybe I should be doing the same. So I did end up inserting like a lifeline on the bottom and then ripping back to that lifeline. And I will say, if you are doing any type of like folded edge that is like on an existingly knit piece, having a lifeline in there makes it a gazillion times easier to seam it together because you've got that lifeline as a guide to like where you're seaming to, which means your seam will be even all the way across. So even if you don't need the lifeline, like put it in just as a visual guide. It's my top tip. But yeah, that is all the mods that I changed on my piece. I think it looks really good. In terms of learnings for this one, there were a couple new kind of new techniques to me. So I've done, like I played around a little bit with double knitting before, but I haven't done any double knit like bands or anything like that. I've also done I-cord before, but not an I-cord edge. So it's kind of a little bit different. So those are 2 new-ish techniques to me that I had to do. I will say the finishings, they are a little bit tedious because you're working just a couple stitches and you've got to go like all the way around like this massive armhole. So they're a little bit tedious, but they don't actually take too long to do. Once I used up like my first ball of yarn, I think it was my first ball of yarn, I had just separated body and sleeve. So I sorry, didn't separate body and sleeves. I joined it in the round. And then I decided to do my finishing details because again, I was conscious of my like yarn consumption. So I was like, I want to do all the finishings now. So then all I need to do is knit down. And once I run out of yarn. So I think that was a good idea to do because they are a little bit tedious and like there's nothing worse than like you basically finish your piece, but then you've got to go and like pick up 1 gazillion stitches and do like a little I-cord edge on it. And you're just like, I can't be bothered. And then sometimes projects will sit on the sideline. So doing some finishing in the middle, that worked well for me. The only other thing that was a little bit kind of new to me was the provisional cast on. So throughout this pattern, it tells you to do different types of provisional cast ons on different areas. So you start with a provisional cast on for your like shoulder. And for mine, I just used Judy's Magic Cast On and it's pretty seamless there. So I'm very happy with that. For the cast on edge here, you just do like your normal, like you're picking up stitches on this cast on. And then on the underarm, it tells you to do like a provisional cast on. So I've never done a provisional cast on where you've already got live like stitches that you're working, and how you do that is basically, or the video that I looked up was you just hold like a little cable next to it and you wrap the yarn around the cable and your working needle, and then you just work 1/2 the stitches, and then when you come to picking up the stitches you've just got them like live sitting there. I kind of really like the technique. I don't know what value it adds, if any. I am trying it on a jumper that I'm working at the moment to see if it gives me like a neater underarm or anything like that. I would say for the jumper, it's not really offering too much benefit because I am noticing there's still like quite a gap in between the sleeve stitches and the body stitches. So you're going to have to pick up an extra one in between anyway. So I don't know if it adds any value doing that. You could definitely just not bother with a provisional cast on there and just pick up your stitches like you normally would. It's not really the end of the world, but I followed the pattern because it was something new and I kind of like it. So yeah. Now in terms of likes and dislikes, I would say overall I love this piece. I actually really like the like cut of the piece on the around the shoulder area and everything like that. I like the color. The yarn feels pretty good. It's very comfortable to wear and everything like that, so that's all good. I will just speak to armhole depth. On me, this armhole depth is perfectly fine. I had read a few comments around it looking too deep or being too deep on people. For me, perfect. So I didn't make any modifications to the depth of my armhole. This is excellent depth for me. But in terms of like it's not dislikes, these are just some things that I would do differently. And to be honest, this really pains me to say, but I think I am going to rip this back and redo it at some point, because it's not the most brusher friendly. So I knit this as a work top. It's got an intended purpose in mind. And if it wasn't a work top, like this kind of cut in being as deep as it is, I really, really like. But because I want to wear it in the office, it's just a little bit too in, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to, if I do this again, I will end up doing another 10 stitches on each arm. So instead of just picking up 5 each side, I will pick up 10 each side. I also won't eliminate from the neckline. I think I'll keep my neckline to a large because I will keep the double knitting. And the double knitting just doesn't have any give. So having the slightly wider neckline is going to make it easier to get on the head. This does sit like right on like my neck, and it's not irritating, but it is like noticeable. So having a wider neckline is just going to be favorable. And then what I will do is I will take all those extra stitches from these increases that you see here. So I will just continue to knit down and ignore the first 2 increases and then start my increases from like this column down here, because that would then account. So basically that would make my arm go like up here, if that makes sense. So it's just going to be a little bit wider across this front piece here, and that should then like cover any visible straps or anything like that, and just look a little bit more workplace appropriate. Like I wear this with a blazer on top, but I wouldn't wear it just like on its own because it's a little bit too like I don't know what the right term is. Like the cut is very sporty looking, in my opinion. I like it, but like I say, it's not right for the setting that I want to wear it in. And then since I would be redoing this, I would definitely add more length to it. This length is like, I can make it work, like it just tucks into my pants. But again, if I want to wear it as like a standalone top, I can't, because it always like pops out at the back every time I like sit down and things like that. So I would need the extra length on it so that it remained like tucked in properly. So that's something I would have to do. So it means I will have to tap into my extra balls of yarn to get another one done, which is fine, I think. I don't have any other singlet tops on my mind right now that I want to knit anyways. So yeah, I think that's what the plans will be for this one. She will be a rip back and redo. I also need, like if I'm adding extra length, I just need to think about where I want to put my cable twist, whether or not I want to do like maybe 4 cable twists and have them a little bit closer together, or if I want to maybe stretch out the 3 further, because I'm going to have a little bit extra length, but this is basically where it tucks into my pants, where you can see that line. So it's just how many cable twists I get before that tuck in. So I have to do a bit of thinking around placement of those cables and things like that. Now, lastly, thoughts on the pattern. This was a great pattern. I mean, the construction of the piece is pretty simple and basic, so it's not a super complicated knit anyways, but the pattern was very well written, it was clear, had the right instructions and switch counts where you needed them. There is a chart for the cable, it's very basic, and they explain the symbols and all that jazz, so that's all good. In terms of skill level, I would say adventurous beginner, you'll be able to do this perfectly fine. Even if it's your first time experiencing cables, there's only like these twists here that you're doing like for a couple rounds, and then it's all just basic ribbing. So it does make the piece a little bit, it is a bit of a tedious knit, I will say that. This yoke section, because you are doing lots of increases, decreases and things like that, you're establishing your cables and whatnot, it's a little bit more interesting to do. But once you join in the round and you're just knitting down, this is a lot of stitches on small needles, so it is a little bit tedious of a knit. So do keep that in mind when picking up this piece. I personally quite enjoy the finer yarns when I'm knitting, even though it might take me a little bit longer to do. So ultimately, would I recommend this piece and pattern? Absolutely. I'd be keen to make something else from this designer as well, because I quite like her pieces. I think the construction is really good. But yeah, so that is my twist loop top. Ultimately, I am very happy with this top and I do like its current fit. However, because I want to wear it around in the office as a standalone piece, I'm probably going to end up remaking this one, which is kind of annoying, but that is like because of my design choices, is how I want it to look and fit. And like maybe I should have known this going into it as well. I'm finding that with every piece that I'm making, I feel like I need to size up in things, because like I'm basically a plank, and so going by bust measurement means I end up making a size that's maybe a little bit too small for the rest of my body. And I think this is like another example of this, because I ended up sizing up and this is like a fitted top on me. It's definitely not as loosey-goosey as it looks on the model, but I'm hoping with a little bit of wear over time that the yarn would loosen up a little bit more and it may become a bit more drapey on the body, but we'll have to see. I don't think I will size up when I remake this. I think I'll still stick to the same size. I will just make those like sleeve adjustments here, which again, like I've got very broad shoulders, so maybe I should have known better to make them even wider again, but like you don't know until like you've made it and you've seen it. But even from the get-go, like I should have known they were like too small. Anyways, I do like this fit. I do like it in its current state, but we need, like I say, because of how I want to wear it, I need to make some tweaks to it. But yeah, other than that, love it. It's good. Recommend it. And yeah, nothing else to say on that. So hope you guys enjoyed watching my journey on making this particular piece. If you do, give us a like, whatever. Do those YouTubey things if you want to see more videos like this. I also do like regular monthly updates as well, so you'll see these pieces a little bit more in real time, because I've had this one lying around for a while now before I'm even filming this outro, and it's going to be a while more before it even gets uploaded to YouTube. So check those out if you're interested. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys. You're definitely going to hear that one. That's way too loud. This is really fucking tight. All right, first try on. My face is really red for some reason. My tan lines, my shoulders look so pale. I think it's just my shoulders are super pale. That's why my face looks red. It's not that different compared to my arms. It must be the lighting that's making me look a weird colour. Yeah, and my pale shoulders. Am I enough in doing the double knit neck band? Oh my gosh, cannot get words out.